I've been asked to read 2 Samuel, 1 through to 3, and it's about the death of Saul. After the death of Saul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, David had remained 2 days in Ziklag, and on the 3rd day a man came down from the camp of Saul with his clothes torn and dirt upon his head. As he approached David, he fell to the ground prostrate. David asked him, "Where have you come from?" And he responded, "I fled from the camp of Israel." And David said to him, "Tell me what is to report." So he reported that the people fled from the battle. Many of the people have fallen and died. Even Saul and his son Jonathan are dead. Then David asked the young man who was reporting to him, "How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead?" And the young man who had reported it answered him, "I happened to be in Mount Gilboa when in front of me Saul was leaning on his spear with the chariots and horsemen drawing close. And when he turned around, he noticed me and he summoned me. And I responded to him, 'Here I am.' He asked me, 'Who are you?' And I answered, 'I am Amalekite.' And then he said to me, 'Stand over me and kill me, for I have been mortally wounded, yet I am still alive.' So I stood behind him and killed him, because I knew that he could not live after he'd fallen. And then I took the crown that was on his head and the amulet that was on his arm, and I have brought them here to my Lord." Then David took hold of his clothes and tore them. As he did, all of the men who were there with him. They mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and Jonathan his son, the people of the Lord and the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. Then David asked the young man who was reporting to him, "Where are you from?" He responded, "I am the son of the one who sought refuge in Amalekite." You have to forgive me for some of these words and pronunciations that are coming. David said to him, "How is it that you did not fear raising your hand to destroy the anointed of the Lord?" Then David called to one of the young men and said, "Step forward and execute him." So he struck him and killed him. But David said to them, "Your blood is upon your own head, since your mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I put an end to the anointed of the Lord.'" The lament of David. Then David recited his lament over Saul and Jonathan his son, and he told them to teach the sons of Judah the song of the bow. It is written in the book of Joshua. "Your splendor, O Israel, has been slain upon your hills. How the mighty ones have fallen. Do you not report it in Gath? Do not announce it in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, or the daughters of the uncircumcised exult. O mountains of Gilboa, may there be no rain or dew upon you, or your bountiful fields, for there the shield of the mighty was defiled. The shield of Saul is no longer anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of mighty, the bow of Jonathan did not turn back, nor did the sword of Saul return empty. Saul and Jonathan, beloved and delightful, neither in life nor death will they be separated. They were swifter than eagles, and they were stronger than lions. O daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet and jewels, who adorned you, your garments with golden jewelry. How the mighty ones have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan was slain on your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. You are very dear to me. Your love was more remarkable than the love of women. How the mighty have fallen and the weapons of war have perished. Verse 2. David anointed king over Judah. After this, David consulted the Lord, asking, "Shall I go to one of the cities of Judah?" The Lord responded to him, "Go up." David asked, "Where should I go?" And he then said, "Hebron." So David went up there along with the two wives, and Ahinoam, the Jezreelites, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal and Carmelite. And David brought the men who were with him, each man with his household, and they lived in the cities of Hebron. Then the men of Judah came, and there anointed David as king over the house of Judah. And they informed David that it was the men of Jabesh Gilead who had buried Saul. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead, saying, "May you be blessed by the Lord. You have shown his loyalty to your Lord, Saul, by burying him. Now may the Lord show you loyalty and faithfulness. Even as I deal kindly with you, you have done this thing. Now may your hands be strong, and may you be courageous, since the Lord Saul is dead, and his house of Judah has anointed me as king over them." War between the houses of David and Saul. However, Abner, the son of Ner, commanded the army of Saul, had taken Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. He installed him as king over Gilead, the Asherites, Jezreel, Ephraim, and Benjamin, over Israel in its entirety. Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and he ruled for 2 years. However, the house of Judah followed David. The lengths of time during which David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Abner, the son of Ner, with the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out to Mahanaim toward Gibeon. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, with the servants of David, went out in order to meet together at the pool of Gibeon. They sat down, one group on one side of the pool, and the other group on the other side of the pool, opposite them. Abner suggested to Joab, "Let the young men come forward and compete before us. And Joab replied, "Let them come." So they stepped forward and were counted 12 from Benjamin and Ishbosheth, and 12 from the servants of David. Each one grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in the opponent's side, so they fell down together. Therefore, that place was called Helkath Hazraim, which is at Gibeon. The fighting was very fierce that day, but Abner and his men of Israel were defeated by servants of David. Now the 3 sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as fast as a gazelle. So Asahel pursued Abner, and as he went, he did not turn to the right hand nor to the left hand from following Abner. Abner looked behind him, And he said, "Is that you, Asahel?" And he answered, "It is I." Abner said to him, "Turn aside to your right or left, overtake one of the young men, and take his equipment for yourself." But Asahel was not willing to desist. Abner continued, still to reason with Asahel. "Abandon your pursuit. Why should I strike you down? How, then, could I show my face to your brother Joab?" But he refused to desist. So Abner struck him in the abdomen with the butt of his spear, so that the spear came out of his back. He fell there and died on the spot. When all the others came to the place where Abishai fell and died, they halted. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner as the sun was setting. They came to the hill of Amiah, which is next to Giah, on the way to the wilderness of Gibeon. The sons of Benjamin gathered to the rear of Abner into a single formation, and they took their stand atop of the hills. Abner called to Joab, "Must the sword consume forever? Do you not understand the bitter taste will result in the end? How long will you refuse to command the people to withdraw from chasing their brothers?" Joab responded, "As God lives, I assure you that if you had not said this, the people would have each pursued his brother throughout the night." So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still. They pursued Israel no longer, nor did they continue to fight anymore. So Abner and his men traveled through Arabah all that night. They crossed the Jordan and marched all morning until they returned to Mahanaim. Again, forgive me for the translations of some of these words. Joab refrained from pursuing Abner, but instead mustered all of the people. There were 19 men besides Asahel, missing from among the servants of David. But the servants of David routed Benjamin and the men of Abner. 360 of their men died. They carried Asahel back and interred him in his father's tomb, which was at Bethlehem. Then Joab and his men traveled throughout the night and reached Hebron at dawn. Verse 3. The struggles between the house of Saul and the house of David endured. But David grew stronger as Saul became weaker. Sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn were Amnon by Ahinoam, the Jezreelites, and his second Kilib by Abigail and the widow of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third Absalom, the son of Maachah, the daughter of Talmai, and the king of Geshur, and the fourth Adonijah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth Shephatai, the son of Abital, and the sixth Ithream was born of Iklah, the wife of David. These were born to David in Hebron. Abner defects to David. While there was war between the houses of Saul and the houses of David, Abner was strengthening himself in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Ahiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" Abner became very angry over his words, and Ishbosheth, he said, "Am I a dog's head that belongs to Judah? Each day I show loyalty to the house of Saul, your father, to his brothers and to his friends, by not allowing you to fall to the hand of David. Yet today you are charging me with guilt concerning this woman." May God do so to Abner, and more also, for as the Lord has sworn to David, this I will do for him. To transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul, to establish the throne of David over Israel and Judah, from Dan to Beersheba. And he could not offer a response to Abner for fear of him. So Abner sent messages to David on behalf, saying, "To whom does the land belong? Make your covenant with me. My hand will be with you to bring over all of Israel to you." He responded, "Very well, I will make my covenant with you, but I require one thing from you. You will not see my face unless you bring Michal, the daughter of Saul, with you, and when you come to see me." Then David sent messages to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, saying, "Give me my wife, Michal, to whom I have betrothed, for 100 Philistine foreskins." So Ishbosheth sent for her, and he took her from her husband, Paltiel, the son of Laish. But her husband went with her, weeping as he went as far as Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, "Go return." So he turned back. Abner had a word with the elders of Israel in days past. "You are seeking David as king over you. So do it now, because the Lord said to David, 'By the hand of David, I will save my people Israel from the land of the Philistines and from the hand of every enemy.'" Abner also spoke privately with Benjamin. Then Abner went to tell David privately at Hebron all that was received favorably by Israel and the entire house of Benjamin. So Abner, along with 20 men, went to David at Hebron, and David held a festival for Abner and all the men who went with him. Abner said to David, "Let me arise, go and gather all of Israel to my lord, the king, so that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may rule over them all that your heart desires." So David sent Abner away, and he went peaceably. Joab murders Abner. Now the servants of David and Joab came from a raid and brought much plunder with them. But Abner was no longer with David at Hebron, because he had sent him away in peace. When Joab and the whole of the army that was with him arrived, they reported to Joab, "Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he sent him away peaceably." So Joab went to the king and said, "What have you done? Abner came to you. Why is it that you sent him away? Now he is long gone. You have that Abner, the son of Ner, came to deceive you, to learn of your coming and going, to discern all that you are doing." When Joab left David, he sent messages after Abner, and they brought him back from the well of Sariah. However, David was not aware of this. So Abner returned to Hebron, and Joab pulled him aside in the gateway so as to speak to him undisturbed. And there he struck him in midsection, so that he died on account of the blood of Asahel, his brother. Afterward, when David heard of this, he said, "My kingdom and I are forever blameless before the Lord for the blood of Abner and the son of Ner. May it fall upon the head of Joab and upon all his father's house. May the house of Joab never be without one who has a discharge, or who is a leper, or who leans on a staff, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks food." So Joab and his brother Abishai killed Abner, because he killed Asahel, their brother, at Gibeon in the battle. David said to Joab, and all the people with him, tear your clothes, put on a sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. As for King David, he followed behind in Abner. When they buried Abner at Hebron, the king raised his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. Then the king lamented for Abner, saying, "Should Abner have died as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, and your feet were not put in fetters. As a man falls before the wicked, so you have fallen." And all the people continued to weep over him. Then all the people came to persuade David to eat food while it was still day. But David took an oath, saying, "May God do to me, and more also, if I taste food or anything else before the sun sets." All of the people recognized this, as it pleased them, as everything that the king did was pleasing to all of the people. That very day, all the people of Israel understood that it was not ordered from the king to have Abner, the son of Ner, killed. David said to his servant, "Do you not understand that a great leader has fallen, this city in Israel? Today I am weak, even if an anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too strong for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer according to his wickedness."
Hello, my friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith, the Global Bible Revival, where it is our mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God. My name is Summer Day, and I am here with Mandy Blackman. Hello there, gorgeous.
Hello. That is such a mouthful. Global Revival.
Global Bible Revival.
Global Bible Revival.
Yes, because we need the Bible to be revived around the whole world.
Amen.
That's our vision. We want 1 million people all over the whole world. People need the Word of God right now. We live in a biblical illiterate time where people don't know the Word of God.
The power behind
Global Bible Revival.
Love it. I'm going out here with the Global Bible Revival. I'm so blessed.
Oh, we're blessed to have you.
Thank you.
You've only been here for a couple hours, but I feel like I've known you my whole life already.
Literally been in Texas for a week.
Been in Texas for a week. Where did you fly in from?
So I flew in from Scotland.
Flown from Scotland. Mm-hmm. You are the winner currently of the person who has flown the farthest just to come here to be on the show.
Just being obedient.
Okay, now how long have you lived in Scotland?
So I've lived in Scotland for probably about 6 years now.
Okay, where'd you live before then?
So prior to that, I was in South Africa for 5 years. And then prior to that, I was in Scotland, Wales, the Canary Islands, born in Zimbabwe.
Born in Zimbabwe.
Mother is South African. Her ancestry is Scottish, and my father is Welsh. So the accent.
Yes, I was like, so what is this accent?
Multicultural.
You're like, I'm a one-of-a-kind multicultural accent. Wow, I love it.
My children say it really depends on where I'm at. They, if I'm amongst the Welsh, I can go very Welshy if I want to sometimes. See.
Keep going. Whatever you do. Go very Scottish. Let's hear it.
It's just the Welsh really that I can do, love.
Okay. If you stay in Texas much longer, will you get a draw?
Howdy, woman. I went to the rodeo yesterday. That was mighty awesome. I did not know cowboys was a sport, and forgive me.
You didn't know cowboys was a sport?
I just thought cowboys were cowboys and that they no longer existed. They were in Hollywood. So, was I blessed yesterday to find out. I got educated. It was amazing.
I love it. Okay, so what made you say yes to this project?
So I've been really obedient to God the last 12 weeks. He's really been speaking into my life and taking me out of the box. And it really started a good couple of years ago when I was living a really an ungodly life in South Africa. So my husband, I was married to for 17 years, had 2 beautiful children. Always felt the the love of the Lord. I was one of those children that went to every religion. I've got a very multi-religious extended family, large extended family, from Mormons to evangelical to Roman Catholic, all sorts. Wow. And so my husband and I got divorced after 17 years of marriage, and my children were teenagers. It was an amicable divorce. We just drifted apart, and there was no real cornerstone or anchoring spiritually. We were very unequally yoked, and of course, I didn't come from a biblical teaching in the family. Everything that I sought after was within myself. So, for example, I would go and try and find a church as a child, and then my parents would say things like, well, did you speak to Jesus today? And I think as a child, that kind of made you go into yourself, and you realized, okay, in this scenario, I'm not going to talk about Jesus on my own faith, because it's not really hard. So, cut a long story short, my husband and I got divorced, and an old flame turned up from South Africa, and I'd always had a yearning to go back to Africa. So after about a year of dating online dating, wow. Met in the flesh, and then he was going through a divorce. And he actually had evangelical background, but very wealthy. So they're kind of a hot, cold kind of Christian, Sunday Christian, if you know what I mean. So after about a year of talking and back and forth, he had said to me, look, my children are small, your children are bigger. We'll speak to your family. It'll be easier for you to come to South Africa than for me to come to you. Really? So I spoke to my family, I spoke to my kids, and my kids gave me my blessing and said, Mom, go. So I did. I left, which was difficult, and I moved into South Africa and didn't really know what I was going to encounter. I believed that this gentleman, it was meant to be. And in some ways, he was meant to be. God uses everything for his good. He turns everything around for his glory. So I live in South Africa, and things got very difficult. The gentleman that I was with had a problem in the past with gambling, and quite heavy gambling. He also had a problem with drugs and addiction, and basically that kind of stole a life. But also we were living an ungodly life, and yet we were still going to quite an evangelical church at the time every Sunday. Wow. And what happened was, as the enemy got into our lives and started to kill, steal and destroy, literally, I started to encounter certain things. So in the evening, I would see demons at the end of my bed. And I would see a snake wrapped around my partner. And we would talk, and I really felt that we needed to get married to make this right. Yeah. And God says, "Oh, did I tell you about this?" And he didn't. It was my will. So I would take this to the partner, and I would say, the reason all of this is going wrong in our life is because we're not living a righteous life. Yeah. And yet you believe, you brought me, kind of refreshed me in the Lord. Yeah. And here we are leading an unrighteous life. Yeah. Please. Anyway, long story.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.